We've got Rahul Anand, the founder and CEO of Hopscotch, with us here in the studio this morning. Rahul, great to have you with us.
My pleasure. Thanks very much.
Now, you were one of the first players to make a noise in this space. I remember when we first met about 7 years ago, you were one of the first really break open and have people recognize how big this market could possibly be. What has been your journey, Rahul, like where you are today? How much of that market have you managed to tap into? How difficult has it been?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's when we first started Hopscotch, we saw the market for kids in India. It's the biggest market, second to none. And we had a country where we've had a history of 300 years of the best textile mills and muslin and fabric. But interestingly, there were no options for moms and dads to dress their kids and help them look cute in fashionable merchandise. And so we saw this huge gap. And we said, we are going to fill this gap somehow. In the early days, we launched the biggest brands from around the world in our store. We quickly learned. And then we said, you know what? No one knows about those brands. They know about Hopscotch. They love Hopscotch. They love what we're doing. And so we've created a brand today that is the biggest kids fashion brand in the country. And the approach we use to getting there is a little bit of a different one. It's a highly disruptive model than what most of the traditional incumbents in the industry have done.
But tell me, how different is a Hopscotch from its earlier, other competitors, which continue to grow because just about everyone's identified that this is one space which is so badly untapped in a market which is so huge and growing by the hour. There is the Amazons of the world, and then of course there are homegrown domestic players like a Westside on one end, you've got Zara, you've got all these international brands now hitting the market. Purely in terms of a competitive landscape, how tough is it for you?
Sure. So when we looked at the market 7 years back, we realized that there was no supply, right? There are lots and lots of brands, their merchandise is uninspiring. It's not exciting for any mom to want to dress her kids in. And so we said, we've got to go and crack the supply side of the equation, and we're going to build a brand around great supply that's affordable for consumers in India. And that's been the core mission of the company from the get-go. As we look at a lot of the competition, the horizontal players, Amazon, Flipkart, Alibaba, all these guys, they are starved of supply. They're actively talking to us because they want to feature Hopscotch on their stores so they can engage moms with great fashionable merchandise. There's no one doing as great a job as we are because we've been focused on doing this and this only. And as a result, we've been able to fortify a nice leadership position in this area of kids fashion.
And you've managed to have some very marquee investors on board, the likes of Lion Rock, Gojek, etc. Tell us a little bit more about the overall funding, how many rounds you've had. Are you in talks with anyone as of now? There were rumors about Flipkart and Amazon buying some stake, and if you could just throw some light on the plans.
Our largest investor in the business is Eduardo Saverin, co-founder of Facebook. Yes. He's been a huge supporter and continues to back the company through and through. And so we're very grateful for his support. But I think we've used a lot of that capital to build a great aspirational brand that didn't exist in the country before. And so as we've been out there, as we've been able to grow and build this marquee position for ourselves, the Flipkarts, the Amazons, the Mintras, the Alibabas have all talked to us about featuring our merchandise on their platform. Simply because they have looked high and low, they've looked in India, they've looked abroad. When they look abroad, the options are simply too expensive. The options in India are not exciting or inspiring for consumers. And so they come to us because they want that value proposition that allows them to go into tier 2, tier 3 India and offer merchandise that is accessible and affordable to those moms.
And that was just my next question. When you're talking about growth, give us a sense of like where you're at in terms of what you're seeing currently. I notice a lot of your growth is coming from those tier 2, tier 3 towns. So what's the strategy going forward?
It's interesting. About 3 to 4 years back, we had about 35% of contribution from tier 2 and smaller towns. Today, that contribution's gone up to 70%. When we look at our growth, we are seeing triple-digit growth from cities that are in the non-top 25 space, right? So the top 25 cities are big. They drive about half your volume, but the non-top 25 cities, right? That's no Jaipur, no Agra, right? None of those towns are even counting in there. And I think that's been the really strong wonder of digital and the strategy that we use, right? We're 100% digital focused, and we're seeing triple-digit growth rate from a lot of those smaller towns, which has been very exciting to us.
What's the
We've broken
average?
even?
Yeah,
Sorry.
go on.
No, go ahead.
What's the average size of an order?
It's high. I think we do about 1,500 rupees per order on average. But what's interesting is an average order consists of 6 units in a basket. Typical e-commerce has 1.2 units in a basket. And so what's great is when you make aspirational merchandise very affordable, when you crack that supply side, you realize that Indian moms have a wallet and willingness to spend like no one else.
And 85% repeat customers, you're saying?
Yes, that's been one of the reasons why we built a highly profitable business model, right? There's lots of those very scary tales and tombstones in the graveyard of e-commerce because there were players that simply depended on using venture capital to acquire more and more buyers, but people never came back.
Sure.
Whereas our growth model has been very different. 85% of our revenue is actually from existing buyers who keep coming back to get more. And every single year we add close to 800,000 to 1 million first-time buyers. So we're growing very quickly and at the same time able to encourage and inspire a lot of repeat behavior.
Wanted to understand if you've broken even?
Yeah, so it's a good question. We have approached break even. We just got there about a month ago.
Okay.
And so it's been quite a journey to get there.
So 7 years it's taken you to break even.
To get there, yeah.
That's been. Is it a very capital intensive business? I mean, I would understand it is.
Yes and no. You need capital for mainly two things, right? One, to build the market, right? There was no kids fashion category before Hopscotch came around. So we've had to build this category and that's involved acquiring customers. Now, they repeat often, but we did need to front that base of 2.5 million customers today with venture capital, right? So very grateful for a lot of the support that's gotten us here. You also need capital to hire great people who are inspired by the mission, who come to work to build a great company and not just for a paycheck. So those are the two biggest investments that we make, people and customers, right? But you're not really buying land, building factories or warehouses. A lot of this stuff now is very commoditized and you can get as much support as you can and as quickly as you like.
What would you say is the biggest challenge with your business?
Biggest challenge? I think it's a classic challenge most entrepreneurs have, right? There are such huge opportunities that come knocking on our door every day. Strategic ones to partner up and exponentially drive revenue, or suppliers who want to come on board and partner with us because they're great brands focused on kids. And so I think on one hand, you want to stay true to who you are and always stand for being that aspirational brand that moms can trust. And on the other hand, you have investors and you want to make sure that your investors are happy and you continue to grow with the same pace as you have before. So I think finding that balance between being true to yourself and untapping all that growth opportunity knocking on your door is something every entrepreneur has to deal with, and we've had to as well.
So what are moms looking forward to? What are some of the trends? I feel awkward asking you this, but
Yeah.
but what's selling the most? And are you looking at certain new diversifying or new categories going ahead? Yeah.
We're a very different business, Abha. Most brands are built by humans, right? They're built by designers and by buyers who have some design inspiration, and they pretty much have a point of view and they publish that in the market. It is a push strategy. Yeah. We have a pull strategy, right? We launch 200 new, unique, unseen styles daily. That's more styles than a typical brand will launch in 6 months. And we're able to do that because of a lot of great engineering. We're able to do it because we have a lot of great data science and machine learning helping us understand where those latest trends are. So I can tell you that moms love dressing their sons in bow ties today, but that could change in a week or 2 weeks from now, and our data models keep picking that up.
And what made you get into this business, Rahul?
I think a couple of things. One, I had deep understanding of the kid space. I spent my first few years out of business school focused on the kid space, but in the US. And after having exited one of those businesses to Amazon, we looked at the Indian market and we said, wow, this is where this is the future, right? This is where e-commerce is taking off. This is where there is an absolute shortage of brands. It is a supply-starved market where demand is infinite. The key is to get that supply-side value proposition right. And so that's what sort of led us to where we are today, and that's why we're moving forward with such positivity.
Great having you in the studios, and good luck with all the future ventures of Hopscotch. That's a quick flavor and a look at how some of these kids-friendly businesses are currently doing. Hopscotch in focus.